When you think about AI, you probably think about code, data, digital stuff, right? But what if its future is tied to something, well, a lot more physical? Today, we're going to dig into a really fascinating argument, one that connects the whole AI revolution directly to two of the oldest assets on the planet, gold and silver.
Wow. Okay. Let's just jump right in. The source we're looking at today doesn't exactly bury the lead, does it? Gold and silver surge as AI drives a global reset. I mean, that is a huge claim. This isn't just some run-of-the-mill market prediction. The central idea here is that the AI boom is the main force, the engine, that's going to trigger a complete reset of the entire global economy.
All right, so to really get our heads around this, we've got to start at the beginning. We need to unpack that core premise. What exactly is this AI-driven reset they're talking about? Let's take a look. You've probably heard that term global reset thrown around, right? It can mean a lot of different things, but for this specific argument, it has a very particular meaning. We're talking about a massive structural shift in the whole global economic system. This isn't just a recession or a downturn. No, this is talking about a fundamental rewiring of how money and power actually work across the world. And here's the kicker, the really crucial part of the source's claim. The big engine pushing this whole reset. It's not what you'd expect. It's not some new central bank policy or a war or anything like that. Nope. The argument is that the real catalyst is the unstoppable, just exponential growth of artificial intelligence. That's the domino that starts it all. Okay, so if AI is the spark, you've got to ask, where do actual physical metals come into play? And that brings us to the first major pillar of this whole argument, the huge and apparently growing industrial need for silver.
And I mean, that's the obvious question, right? AI feels so intangible. It's just code, it's algorithms, it's data zipping around in the cloud. How in the world could that be connected to a hunk of metal you can actually hold in your hand? It seems like two different universes.
Well, this is where the digital world gets very, very real. According to the source material, the entire physical backbone of the AI and green energy revolutions is just drenched in silver. We're talking about the high-tech servers inside those massive AI data centers. We're talking solar panels, electric vehicles, all that stuff. Even the 5G networks that connect everything. Apparently, every single piece of that high-tech puzzle needs silver for its incredible conductivity. It's not optional. So let's be clear about what the source is saying here. This isn't some optional, nice-to-have kind of demand. The argument is that this is an absolute, non-negotiable industrial necessity. If you want to build the future that's coming with all the AI and green tech, you simply cannot do it without a ton of silver, a constantly growing supply of it. Okay, so that covers the industrial side of things for silver, but that's only half the story. The source makes a totally separate parallel argument for both gold and silver, but this time on the financial side. This part has less to do with what you can build with them and everything to do with what they represent. And that's trust. Let's dive into that.
Yeah, this really lays out the two sides of the coin, doesn't it? Over here, you've got your standard fiat currencies, dollars, euros, yen. Their value is based completely on faith in the government that issues them. But then over on the other side, you have precious metals. They're finite, they're physical, they've held value for thousands of years, and they exist totally outside of any one government or financial system. So let's tie this back to that global reset idea. The argument goes like this. When the whole system starts to feel shaky, when things get uncertain or go through a massive change, people, and even entire countries, start looking for a safe harbor, a financial anchor. The thinking is they'll move their wealth away from things that are just promises on a screen and into tangible assets they can actually hold, assets of trust. All right, so we've got these two huge forces laid out by the source material, right? On one hand, you've got this massive industrial demand just sucking up silver. On the other, you've got a financial flight to safety pulling people towards both gold and silver. So what happens when those two powerful forces collide? Let's see how the argument says this all comes together.
Now, before we get to the big finale, the source throws one more really critical idea into the mix. It's this concept of price suppression. The allegation is that for a long, long time, the market price for gold and silver has been artificially held down, pushed down by things like complex paper contracts that don't reflect the real physical supply and demand. And according to the source, this has created a situation that's like a giant coiled spring, just waiting to be released.
And here it is, the predicted chain reaction, all laid out. Step 1, that unstoppable industrial demand from AI and green tech really kicks into high gear. Step 2. At the exact same time, all the uncertainty from the reset causes a mad dash for financial safety in gold and silver. According to this theory, these two forces smash together to create this tidal wave of demand. A wave so big that it just steamrolls over any of that alleged price suppression, forcing the prices of both metals to correct and correct dramatically upwards.
And this isn't just some vague, someday in the future kind of prediction. The source gets specific. It points to the year 2026 as a really significant time frame. The suggestion is that's when all these economic disruptions and these market shifts could really start to get, well, a lot more noticeable.
So when you boil it all down, the entire argument we've walked through today really hinges on this one single question. It's a pretty wild thought, isn't it? The idea that our most advanced, most intangible technology ever could be the very thing that triggers a massive surge for the world's most ancient, tangible assets. A purely digital future that's built on a foundation of physical metal. It's definitely something to think about.